All right, good evening, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. We are on the fifth and final part of my 2007 Port Road trip. Today we're going to be finishing up shocks interlocking and popping back over to the Lititz section of Cork, the old Cork, and then a couple of final photos at Exton, finishing out the day. Hope you all had a great time. Hope you had some dinner with somebody, friends or family or whatever. I had some pretty crazy train stuff early this morning, followed by a lot of yard work. So I was all ready to chow down with my local family here. Hopefully, we can get this done in a reasonable amount of time. If anyone has any questions, put them in the chat. I had some people waiting; they seem to have vanished. And I hope that we can get this. I hope we can get this going. All right, so let's just going back to shocks. Here we have the relay hut for shocks. This is typical for 1930s. It's sort of a prefab concrete. The roof might have even been a precast panel. I was down near Dale today. They have a couple of these out there. A couple of these were left over. The one for Cress, I believe, is still there, preserved as part of the bike trail. But some of the other ones, like Manor, Manor and Port, were demolished. Let's get these going here. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Uh-oh. I forgot to do a thing. I knew that something was wrong there. One of these, I'm not sure I'm ever going to be doing photos where I forgot to, I didn't update the whatchamacallit. I'm betting that they had to go back to shocks and install all of the C lamps for the Rule 562, going up to Harrisburg. There we go. All right, sorry. Back to the 112L. Boy, there was some rust on this one. So, like I said, these did not, or sorry, the 112R. These did not get that sort of end-of-life rehab that the ones that Cola and the other Port Road signals got. So again, this is a year before the issue that caused the PTC mandate. So this was just part of normal signal signal replacement. One second. Sorry for that little hiccup there. There we go. Here we have the 112RC Dwarf coming out of the industrial park. Today, there's a major supplier of I think it said it used to be a defense one of those defense logistics bases, but today it's operated by a home products, like a flooring company. Here we have the old dwarf immediately in front of the behind the new immediately in front of the new dwarf. And it looks like the new dwarf's going to be able to give a slow clear, unlike the old one. Ah, crap. See if we have anyone there. I'm not sure how they might. I'm not sure how they. NS had an interesting thing with these little junction box mountings on their dwarf signals there. I think I mentioned yesterday that I was pretty sure that I saw the new signals from the car and stopped, and I'm very confident in that assertion that this wasn't on the plan, but I made it part of the plan. When I saw what was up, it was a good thing that I did. There we go. Oops. And here of a rearward view, looking down somewhere in that woods there, right where at the top right is where the old Rowena substation would be. I don't know exactly when this interlocking would have been placed in service, but I'm gonna leave it the way it is, so I can see down the right of way there. Ooh. That's close. I got it. All right, now we're back to where we started. Yeah, here we have the shocks relay hut with the lead wrapped pole line. We got the junction box that's probably going to be where your taps are to get up to. I didn't see the pole line going into it, but you can see how the telecom is going into underground ducts. So that's definitely where the taps were running. They ran them underground up to the hut there, or the cabin, bungalow, whatever you want to call it. There we go. So for anyone who's here we have the 107 switch. This is the switch out to the industrial track. Where is that? Oh, need to move this guy back. So we saw other views of this previously, but this is a little bit better one here. There's the CP valve unit, the A5 point machine, and at least one point. It's a eastbound. There we go. And we have shocks with an additional, there's its battery box and some additional relay cabinets. Maybe I can do a bit better with this, with all the stuff there. Nah, maybe not. That's a bit better. And here we have just this gives you the best view, even though the first, again, this track that goes sort of way down there, that's technically a siding, although it does have this beautiful effect of a 2x2 flat junction going down the Royalton branch. Really nice sort of view here, and the little stairs to get up from the ATV track. I'm just gonna give this a generic eastbound directional label. Or westbound, I mean. Just needs a little more off the bottom. Alright, that got it. Here we have the 111 switch. You can tell I went to the one end of it, now I'm walking back. I don't know if my friend called me or not. Maybe he was honking the horn at me. I could see that happening. Alright, how do we do this one? It's a weird sort of... I don't tend to take these angles much anymore. With like one point and one bit of the heater there. There we go. That looks good. Ugh. Oh, I see what's going on. And here we have the another angle. Note again, there's the air feed into the valve unit. Then magic happens, and it's either going to have air push the piston one way or the other. Oh. Can I even see a point in this one? No. All right, so here we have over there, we've got the 109W. I don't need to call him out. What I can do instead. There we go, that got it. Yeah, so like I said, this is just, you know, me being very economical with how I get all my shots here. And here we have the substantial amount of heaters, and again, you can see the substantial CTC code line, which did go all the way up to Jeb. This was not the last station on the CTC line. But unlike other railroads, I mean, the PR really did this on style. No open lines, no little wire pair. They really got state-of-the-art telecom technology to do this. And then somewhere out there, my friend is waiting in the car. Alrighty, that's our first set finally finished. Next set, see if you have any questions. Nope, not yet. Well, thanks, Brian. Glad you can make it. Hope you had a great dinner or whatever you were doing. We're almost done with shocks here. Probably should have put a couple extra photos in that first set. Or not. Yeah. Oh, that is all for shocks. So, moving on here, let me just see where show you how we're driving to get our butts out of here. Get our butts out of town. Let's see. So what we did was there's the old Armstrong Materials plant, like I mentioned. Yeah, they're not telling you what that used to be, but you can, if you see these sorts of like a rail fan in long, low buildings and cubes, that used to be like a Cold War era defense site. Okay, so what we did is we drove up along the Royalton branch past the old 3 Mile Island site, and here we are. So fun fact, up until Roy Interlocking was rebuilt in like 2004 or 5, they moved the interlocking limit to there. The interlocking limit used to be there. So Amtrak's maintenance went all the way to this point right here. This is a little fun trivia. There were, so there, right there. This is where the rule. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the signal, but the signal used to be right there on this mast. So Amtrak's maintenance started here. There was a switch into the yard a bit, and then you got into Roy Interlocking. So technically, this grade crossing was on Amtrak territory. So you'd have rules examiners who would ask people to name all the grade crossings on the main line. There were 3 at the time. Now there are none. Irishtown Road, Ebby Checks. There's one other ones, but most people would forget that Canal Street in Royalton was technically on part of the Harrisburg line there. So let me see what I labeled this, because I could label this a bunch of things. I just don't know what I would have done so. I'm getting the 3 Mile Island stuff. Oh, here we go. Well, anyway, you can see the code line there. Now, remember, this code line would also carry stuff from the Harrisburg Power Office to the substations. So that's something else that might have been an issue when some of the resignaling was done in the 2012 year. The Harrisburg Power Office closed in 2013, so its communications routes to places like Safe Harbor may have been impacted by some of the actions that NS was taking around the same time. So the question, I forget when I went to Roy Interlocking. I went with someone. I don't know who it was. I gotta find here we go. Here it is. What signal is this? The 9W. Okay. That works. I'm renaming everything. Might as well rename this one. It's nice that, again, because that 138 kV line is active, that, you know, NS has not chopped down all the catenary poles on the Royalton branch. Water Street. This is located right here. There are not a lot of signals on the Royalton branch. If you're ever wondering, like, where are they all? I would be surprised if there's, well, there's none now. It's 562. There was really only 1.5 between Royalton and Harrisburg. The Royalton branch was one of those minimal, like 3 or 4 mile long blocks. So arguably the 562 actually probably improved it. I never knew where the signal on the actual Royalton branch was between Jeb. There had to have been one. So Jeb would have been somewhere in there. There had to be like one signal. I have no clue where. I never found it. I'm sure it was Conrail style. Now I got to figure out which substation this is. Oops, did I just skip this one? All right, so whatever I did, I got back up on PA Route 283. If you don't like paying turnpike, you can do the poor man's turnpike, which is 30. You have about a 10-mile gap at Gap, which is non-highway, and then you get back on the bypass, and you get on PA Route 283. 283 in theory could have been part of Route 83, but they, it's a state route. You can see the whatchamacallit there. Somewhere coming up on Harrisburg, you pass a substation. Oh, let me do this on my other map. That tells me which substation it's going to be. Because that's what I took the picture from. There it is. It's Landisville substation. This one you can still see has the old transformers. There's Lancaster. There's Landisville. Yep, that's the one. Yep, 17, 16, 15. There it is. It was between 16 and 15 that it lost its old 1939 transformers. Oh, man, those are pretty. Look at those. Whoof. Beautiful. Man, what a shame. Oh, sorry, they were there in 15, and they were gone in 16. And most of the insulators with them too. So this is notable for being the end of 2 circuits of 138 kV. Between here and Harrisburg, you just have 1 circuit on this route, and then 1 on the Royalton branch. I bet I cut this one out because it's a little blurry. I don't know which whatever that is, substation thing is, but I'm not here to really do stuff with that. Let me just sharpen this up a little bit more better. This is, I think, a photo I originally cut because it was soft, but it's clearly much more important now that those transformers were removed. Womp. There we go. Next. All right, now let's move some stuff around a little bit. Pulling up my CORK interlocking here. And my Amtrak diagram. Oh, hold on. Here we go. So this is today part of Lititz interlocking. Used to be part of CORK. What this was was where the Reading would cross to get into Lancaster. Their Lititz branch, the Reading, well, I don't know what they would call it. Today it would be the Lititz secondary, Lititz branch, you sometimes hear. It crossed the main line via a ladder, a medium speed ladder. And I'm just going to show you on the overhead map. It's easier to see. There's Lancaster, the city. Let's go to a line diagram. There's again, this is the Reading line. You can see it would eventually make its way to Columbia. Part of it is still used today for industrial work. Crossing at Landisville Tower. That's there you can see your rail trail thing. And what it would do is it would cross there. Let me find a better one here. Brighter for you to all see. So it comes in. It crosses over in there. And then it goes straight. It had a crossing at grade over the Columbia branch, which is now an expanded Dillersville yard, and then went down right downtown into this area. This was all used to be the yard. So that first off, the PRR Main Line used to go through downtown downtown Lancaster. You can still see the right of way. It literally did this little dipsy-do, came through and came right back out. That's why, and they did that through 1927. Everyone thinks PRR Main Line, oh, super engineered, standard railroad of the world. It had a lot of weirdo crap. It's like how the New York Central went through downtown Syracuse until up through the 1920s. So in 27, they built this cutoff with a new Lancaster station. This is why they have a mile that's only 1,500 feet long. But as soon as they did this reconfiguration, either way, they still had this crossing of the Reading. And over the years, when the Reading went away, you still had the secondary track. When everything was Conrail, you still had to feed this secondary track there. So what you have is this is how you would. It was part of CORK interlocking, which used to just be this little section, all the way out in the hinterlands, about a mile, half a mile from the from the main part of CORK. And then this became a crossover with a little like siding track that PRR could interchange with, and eventually it just turned into a single-ended one right before the end. However, and also you also had this interesting thing of, because this crossover was removed, this 63 crossover, you still had a pair of controlled signals on Main 1 that didn't have any interlocking appliances. So you had the 64R, you had 66R, 64R. The 66R was just like there. That was useful because you could do things with track cars, because you can't give them a single signal into like ABS territory. You could give them a signal up to this point because they were still without a track warrant, a Form D. That's a little whatever of track cars need Form Ds. They can't be governed on signal indication, except within interlocking limits. Anyway, you can see it's really getting dark now. Now, what I noticed and what I did, you can still kind of do this today. The walk-in was with this park. There's this nice park, got a drive going around, and at the time, the whole Lititz section is right up in here. Plenty of parking. And there's a fence line, of course. But at this, with all the construction and everything, it was not too difficult to get away, to get up onto the right-of-way. Is that spelled right? Lititz. Why is this spelled wrong? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's spelled right. Then where's that E coming from? There's multiple versions of Wikimapia, so sometimes that stuff is an issue. was I? Here we go. Okay. So what we have here is, so here we see the cork. Yeah, we're definitely losing light here. It is quite, I wonder if it has the original date stamps on them. I don't think so, because I never set the date on my clock. So this is the 66L plus the old one, plus the power supply for this end of the interlocking. At some point, it went from a high down to a low. Don't know why, but it did. You can see that they've already... now remember, they have started to do reconfiguration work for the cork interlocking close down, which was underway at this point. This is the... what is this? 66? 66L. Now, the neat part was you still had a redding signal for the redding track. Color light and everything with the lozenge, the horizontally configured restricting signal lower head. Beautiful, beautiful example of redding signaling right here. Not a lot of these left. They're mostly on SEPTA to a degree, although really most of them have all been maybe I think if you saw any like originals, they would be around Wayne Junction, but there's just really not many of these left. Because whatever SEPTA didn't pull out, the only redding signals left are in the railwork zone, and that was redone in the 80s and 90s. So they would look like this, but they'd be facsimiles. This is using USNS style TR backing bits. And the only thing that this could display, of course, was medium approach, medium clear, and restricting. Really cool signal there. This is the 62L. Not sure what the gray cabinet is, but that white one is the new relay hut for the what will be the new Lititz interlocking, as opposed to the Lititz section of CORK, similar to the New Holland section of CORK, or the Conestoga section, I mean, or well, now it became Holland. They used to call it the Conestoga section, because it was right on the other side of the Conestoga River Bridge. I'm not sure what this thing here is. If this was I guess it was just, yeah, I guess this would just be, it's some sort of 80s replacement when they did something. Oops. Here we have the 7064L, the dwarf. Again, this would be obsolete. So this track would be getting a new signal for reverse directions, because, you know, Lititz would be on both track 2 and the Lititz secondary. Meanwhile, I love how it's caged there for anti-vandalism. Meanwhile, on the other track, they actually put the Harrisburg line used the, you know, when Amtrak resignaled it, it was still in the thing of, in its 562 of putting physical wayside distance signals in case of cab signal failure. And the distant on track 2 was located, on track number 1 for CORK, interlocking was located on track number 1 in auto. And on track number 2, you had the signal for Lititz. And then the auto for Lititz was about another mile down the track near the shopping mall and IKEA. And here we have the old impedance bonds. With the 64L. So for those who don't know, when you have electrified track like this, you have to be able to separate the current, the AC current or the return current with the track circuit current. The way you do this is with an impedance bond. It's a special, like a little mini transformer, like a winding based thing, and it can filter out AC currents of different frequencies or AC and DC. So you could have the track circuits here were 96 hertz, and the AC current for the return current for the electrification was 100 hertz. Sorry, it was 25 hertz. These are the original ones from the 30s. Amtrak does kind of replace these, but not always. They're pretty bulletproof. Here we have one of the new signal heads. This is the lower head of the 2E signal. So the interlocking signal on track number 2 heading east. So this would be a vertical for an approach medium indication for CORK interlocking. This one is the upper head for that, and behind it is for the, and actually this is why I have this up, behind that is the 5E. These are just sitting by the right-of-way in boxes ready for installation. Let's crop out some of this brush. And here we have, yeah, this is part of the 5E. It's upper head. These are all safe train ones. Again, the main difference between these and the US&S model, besides the two twin junction boxes, is each of these little modules there have they're basic. They're just a lamp and like a lamp receptacle, and all dark painted on the inside. No parabolic reflector, no lens, no phantom, anti-phantom stuff. Just way basic. Remember, the original PL modules were designed for low wattage bulbs powered by batteries. This can have high discharge bulbs using AC current or typical mains current. And here we have the bottom of the 5E signal. Wait, what was that other one? Oh, oops. Oh, that's the lower head again. And then this guy can go right here. Nice. Oh, there we go. Finish that section. Anybody have any questions? Okey-doke. All right, here we can see that these are in fact LED signals here. So there's no additional lensing on these. The lensing is all within the LED itself, although there is a cover over it. And here we have the end, the upper top an end on of the lower head here. Oh, this is above. So it's lower head above, if you can believe that. I always talk about signals if they're down or toppled, you know, either old or new in their in their orientation as if they were mounted for consistency. Pretty large. I was around some crews who were doing an ABS location, and you'd be surprised how a lot of the Amtrak signaling stuff up through the 80s and maybe the 90s was actually still relay based. However, today it's mostly solid state, but there is a fantastic amount of room in these things. They'll have like three things, and the whole rest of the stuff is, you know, maybe an HVAC unit. There's a lot of space in these. It shows you the economics of things. Technology is miniaturized, while the cost of prefabricated structures has dropped. So back in the day, you can see on the original little diagrams that I've pulled up that there used to be a little siding stub here, which doubled as not like a derail, but like a faux derail. If you went through a signal, you were not on the main line, you were just going for it. They did replace it with they just cut the tracks and put in a derail. This is likely going to get upgraded given all the paint that we see around it. So this is the 65 derail. That's an M3. This was always electric out here. I'm pretty sure it was. Let's check the original diagram. Speed on running 40. Somewhere they usually tell you if it's air or not. Yeah, I actually don't know if this had always been electric or pneumatic. Sometimes you'd have this because Reading was involved. These could have been electric. I saw no evidence of an airline, but it could have been pneumatic as well. So I just don't know. There's no way to. I can't tell right now. But I'm pretty sure that it had been electric for some time. And here we are looking the opposite way. You can see, oh, they might have moved that signal to the mast oh, that's why they did it. Remember I said that signal wasn't always on the mast? Like, why did they pull it down? They did it, I'll explain why. They were going to mount the new distant. So there's going to be a new signal there, a new auto. Oops. There's going to be a new auto right there. There's going to be a new 2E signal there, and then that was going to be 5E. So there's going to be an automatic, but to get the automatic up, they had to move the 62L down there. That makes sense to y'all. Here we have the new 65 switch, and again, this has been largely reconstructed at this point. with a back drive and all sorts of stuff. So this is a medium speed switch. Super heavy duty. They really never wanted to deal with this again. I mean, like, that's like a solid back drive. Beautiful foliage here. Ah. And here we have, oh, and it looks like they actually fitted it with a movable point frog and not a spring frog either. I mean, ka-ching. That's kind of nuts right there. Trying to figure out how to deal with that one. In terms of the naming convention there. All right. There we go. Here we have the new 2E 2W mast that has been installed. And here's another fun fact that you can see here that is evident in this photo. What is this? That's some sort of electrical contact. What is it? What's going on? Why is there a transformer here? The Amtrak uses electric point heaters that are draw power from the overhead catenary. So just another little interesting quirk. I guess that's easier. That's such a draw on power. It's easier for them to do that, and that's across their system. They've been doing that forever. If you ever see one of these little things on the side near an with a thing, just follow it. It's the point heater transformer, and it's going to one of the catenary lines. What happens if the cat goes down during a snowstorm? No. I don't even know what I called these back in the day. I don't know if I knew what this was going to be. Yeah, I had no idea this was even the name of what interlocking this was going to be at this time. Oh, I should have. It was on the damn hut. Boy, it's getting dark here. Also note the new, these will have the C head for Rule 562 clear next interlocking operation there. And unfortunately, a rather soft photo of the 2E signal on delivery. And then you can see a cabinet there for the existing stuff. There we go. Unclear when this would have gone up, but not that long before I had gotten there. And here we have the milepost 70, and then both of the westbound CORK signals. Now remember, this interlocking thing had a whole ladder. It had a crossover. It had another track going down on the things. Today, only the signals and the length of it. I mean, today, as in today of the day I was here, only those things still exist. And you can see it's right at milepost 70. So we are looking at the 64R 66RD. Huh. That's weird. Okie doke. And the 64R. 64R, of course, just gives restricting. What does the Amtrak? What does the thing say about it? It just says 66R. I'm just gonna go with that. Ooh boy. That's good enough. Last photo of the set. This is the main switch, M3. So at this point, this would be the 65 switch. And that's it for this set. And we're down to our last one here. Any questions? Oops. Usually the letter after the in the old cork thing there, the letter after it is if you have one. If you on USNS machines, you can have multiple signals off one lever, so they start lettering them, A, B, C, D, etc. So there's 50 RA, 50 RB. I don't know why that was RD and the other one is R. I would expect that to be maybe a missing. Yeah, like you'd expect one to be RA and the other one to be RB. On the newer thing, it just says 66R. That's what I'm just going to go with right now. Yeah, see here, 52LB, 52LA. All right, we're down to our last group of stuffs here. So this thing does look like it's been on this mast for a while. What does the Amtrak diagram say? The Amtrak diagram from 1992 has it on the signal bridge. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the 66L on the signal bridge. So I don't know when they moved that down. Huh. All right, I already see one thing I need to adjust. Okie doke. So, yeah, movable point frog, because you need that for, you know, restricting speed movements onto a secondary track. Oh, no, there's the communications line there. The pole line, the lead, you know, those lead-wrapped pole lines. Yeah, this should be a spring frog. Maybe they just didn't trust the technology at the time. I don't know. Maybe they realized that PennDOT was paying, so who cares? But this would have been also a maintenance item for them. Not sure. Oh, I mean, I will say that the person who spec'd out the Harrisburg line re-signaling stuff, whatever consultancy they were using, over-spec'd things a lot. So maybe it was one of those like design build contracts where the more you design, the more you get to charge on the build. So this is a better picture of the derail. Maybe I can have this replace the other one. Yeah, I don't like this. Doesn't look quite straight. Let's see what we got. That's even worse. There, that looks better. All right, there we go. Oh, it is in the derailing position. I don't know if that's normal or reverse. I guess it's normal. All right. Oh yeah, you can see that those there are the USNS TR type units. Can't really see that one. And then they use the little USS marker lamps on that, what I call the lozenge signal, or the horizontally oriented one. I loved. There are things up in around CP Hick or Hick interlocking in the Hick drawbridge in Calumet, not Calumet, wherever, Indiana Harbor, Illinois, or wherever that is, where you would have where the B&O is coming in. They got B&O signals. Yeah, they don't tend. Railroads don't tend to do those courtesies like they used to. That's the 62L. Yeah, there's no 62R today. Oops. I need to make sure that I've applied the Lititz label to all this stuff. That's the Lititz section of CORK. CORK's very long. It's nice to have things a little bit. Zoo has the same issue. 62L. There we go. I did the same damn thing. There it goes. Here we have the 66L again. Yeah, this was definitely a modification. I just don't know. Oh, yeah, you can see it's new. That's a brand new modification. Look at those bolts. Where they got this guy, I don't know. Like this, I mean, they were pulling stuff. They did have other mast mounts. So they could have pulled this mast mount jobber from a variety of areas. But you can see how new that mounting hardware is there and there. That's all stainless mounting hardware. So this was also a recent, yeah, this was a recent thing. So they could move that. They could put a replacement signal in its old location. And then here we have the full assembly, the full package eastbound signals here at the Lititz section of Cork. Kind of dark. Not much I can really do about that. And here we have a better angle of that 62L. The previous one was a little bit close. So this one's got a little bit better view of the signal lamps. And a better one of this guy as well. Not sure if I want to include the power supply. Probably just the signal. There we go. Be the 66L. And just another angle of its old location in the power supply. And another rather constrained view of 66L and its mounting. I definitely must have noticed that that some of that bracket mounting was new at the time. All right, so we have reached the end of the day. I drove express back to Exton with my friend to catch the something back to Philadelphia. Just got these. We're gonna finish up with some photos of the full moon over the signals here at Exton. We mentioned them earlier on in the day. I was out near this area myself earlier this week. So one thing I'm going to mention, you might see some changes. So I have two things of photos. As you're aware, uh, I have stuff that comes that's hosted on Google, and I also have the main site that I'm at, graciously provided by Red Over Yellow. Unfortunately, it's not going all the way, but there's some constraints on the files thing, so it's going to have some usability impacts. I am looking. I have some other lines on some additional web hosting. If anyone wants, mainly it's the thumbnails that are going to be the problem. So what is it? If anyone has some space or hosting stuff, let me know. I'm just looking for things that are sustainable. It's not like a cost issue, but it's sort of more of I'm trying to get stuff that's that if I get hit by a truck or whatever, Google just won't delete it within a few days. Here we go. Cool. As we zoom in, you can see the full moon there over the signals. This couldn't have been much later than like 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock. It's crazy how stuff darks. And this is definitely a timed exposure as well. Cool. And you got some more. I love those pure ambers. Not a ton of them left, although this location is still hanging in there. And finally, we finish up with the signals themselves. And one last. So here was an interesting thing that I noticed. I think that I saw a signal bob because one of them went to approach, even though there was no. This is not 261. This is single directional territory, and one of the signals went to approach. It might have been doing this for a while. Their bobbing signals are a recurring issue. I used to get Amtrak reports, but and bobbing signals are always a thing they got to deal with, usually caused by intermittent track circuit shunts. But this is the last picture I have for this trip. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been pretty crazy here. Yeah, see, this is not quite right. That's better. All right. I believe that's all. So let me see if we have any questions. All right, thank you so much. You heard everything about, like I said, if you see stuff between, it might not happen for a year. It might not happen. It's either gonna happen in February or a year from now. You might start seeing some weird transitions on the normal site. I'm hoping to just find some additional stuff that I can stash the thumbnails on because they're not big. But I have over like 170,000 railroad pictures, so that's the issue. Have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see what I'm going to be doing for Christmas. I'm not entirely sure. I am looking at... T3rd I'm going to save. It's going to be annoying, but I'll save that. This should have been the last thing for 2007, the Port Road trip. As far as I can tell, this closes out 2007. I can check here real quick. Yeah, this closes out 2007. For the next thing I want to do is T3rd, but that's only a 2-night special. Oh, here we go. New York City subway vanishing railfan view. This is another great one. I'm going to probably do for Christmas. So let's just see how many. Do I even? There it is. That looks like 177 plus T3rd. I could bang out both of those over Christmas. I think that everything else here has been completed. Oh no, wait. Yeah, that's fine. Midwinter trip has been done. Yeah, if those would work well. I definitely have 5 days over Christmas to do those. What else? Another one where I went to the Alberta, what is it? What is it? The Wanamaker, Kempton, and Western, or whatever that railroad is. Southern. I got that available as well. Let's see how many are in that. That's a 2-day as well. So that's going to be my my backup right there. For an additional 2 days, and that'll get us most of the way through 2008. So anyway, yeah, that should be it. And another thing at some point I want to do is a rename session on those Cola Tower, on these Port Road photos. That'll hopefully be a thing that we can do in the new year. All right. Well, anyway, you guys all have a great night. Expect the next thing probably to be on December 12th, most likely. Maybe the 13th. And then after that, probably the 23rd, 4th, like that's going to start having it get going again. Probably the 23rd through the 29th, 29th or 30th. So, all right, have a great night. That's everything I got right now. Let's see if there's any questions. Yeah, no, I went to, if you're wondering what that is, I went to New York City, and that was 2008, so the R40 slants were on their way out. All sorts of stuff was going away, and I got basically some of my only photos. I got M1 photos. I got slant 40s on the what used to be the Q down the Brighton Beach. I really should have gotten more of these, but these are the only ones I ever got. So that's what that basically is. A lot of great photos. Definitely stuff that I should be improving upon. All right, see ya.